I want to discuss yesterday's implosion of the Sam Bankman-Fried crypto empire. He has three companies: Alameda Research, FTX, and FTX USA. And this guy was considered the leader of the entire crypto blockchain ecosystem. He was supposedly the richest of the rich. I think his net worth was estimated at close to $20 billion. He was all of 30 years old. In fact, I watched an interview that CNBC conducted with this guy less than 2 months ago, and the woman who interviewed him was gushing all over him like a schoolgirl with a crush. And she was completely enamored by this guy. And to me, I'm looking at this kid who not only needed a haircut, but he needed to comb his hair. And the guy was dressed like a complete slob, especially when he was sitting for an interview for television. I mean, I can see if he's home by himself, maybe that's what he's wearing, but you're going to be on television. It's an interview. I mean, come on. And just listening to him talk, I immediately started thinking that this is weird, that something's off with this guy. And the fact that he was supposed to be the leader of crypto, it would not have inspired much confidence in me. I mean, they refer to this guy as the JP Morgan of crypto. And one of the reasons for that is he's been throwing around a lot of money. He's been bailing out a lot of other companies that were in trouble: BlockFi, Voyager Digital, Celsius. One company after another was blowing up, and then he was riding to the rescue. He even bought a 7.5% stake in Robinhood and helped prop up that stock that was tanking. He became a major shareholder in Anthony Scaramucci's Highbridge Capital. In fact, he was a major political donor, one of the biggest donors to the Democratic Party. So he's thrown around all this money, and everybody is worshiping this guy. And now it turned out that the whole empire was, in fact, a house of cards. In fact, it's likely just another giant Ponzi scheme, just like Celsius, just like what blew up with Terra Luna. This is a major catastrophe, probably the biggest catastrophe to hit the crypto industry. I think the fallout that we've seen thus far is just the tip of an iceberg. So much money is about to be lost, or already was lost, by so many people. They just don't realize how much money they lost. There's a lot of leverage. There's going to be a lot of forced liquidation. This whole thing is going to cascade. And for a while yesterday, the rumors were that Binance, which was a major competitor of FTX, was going to buy FTX in a bailout, which of course was very ironic because it was Sam Bankman-Fried, through his various enterprises, that had been the savior of so many other failing cryptos. Now his own company itself needed to be bailed out by a competitor. But then later that evening, Binance announced that after reviewing the situation and in light of the government investigations and who knows, likely criminal charges that could end up being filed, they wanted no part of the transaction and backed out. And in addition to being an exchange, FTX also had its own token, and those tokens were trading for about $25, $26 per token before the news broke. They crashed all the way down to about $2. They've recovered back up to about $3.40, but still a fraction of where they were. As a matter of fact, the all-time high for these tokens was set in September of 2021 at about $71 a piece. At that point, the market cap of these tokens was close to $10 billion. Even with today's huge rally percentage-wise, the market cap has only recovered to about 450 million. So you're still talking about a 94% decline from its peak. Ultimately, these tokens are going to zero out. But even a dead cat will bounce when you drop it from the top of a tall building. And that's exactly what's happening with these FTX tokens. And the only reason we didn't see continued carnage in the crypto market today was the boost that Bitcoin got from the CPI, and Bitcoin rose with all the other risk assets because people have been conditioned to buy Bitcoin on this type of news, because the narrative has been that when the Fed pivots, Bitcoin's going to moon. And so anything that indicates that the Fed is closer to a pivot inspires buying in Bitcoin, except by now it should be obvious that none of that matters to Bitcoin because what's happening now is far more significant. Bitcoin is not an inflation hedge. It's not digital gold. The whole thing is a fraud. Just like all these other crypto companies are Ponzi schemes, the whole thing is one giant Ponzi. It is literally a blockchain letter, a pyramid scheme. None of these things are going to work. They are all going to implode. And the institutions that dip their toe in the water now are dealing with a frozen toe, and they're glad that they never took the complete plunge. This whole thing is imploding. Looking at shares of the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, which hit a new 52-week low yesterday, it had dropped 84% from its high, but more significantly, the discount to NAV sank all the way down to 42%, another all-time record low, indicating institutions have zero appetite for Bitcoin. There is no mass adoption. Right now, the only thing you have is mass liquidation. Sure, you still have the diehard fanatics that are hodling, but all the other money that helped drive Bitcoin up to 70,000 a year ago, and it's almost a full year since Bitcoin hit its near 70,000 high, and yesterday it almost broke below 15,000. It bounced again today, but this bounce is another sucker rally. We're going to hit new lows because there's so much selling still pent up, which is going to be the fallout from the collapse of FTX, Alameda Research. Remember, this was one of the companies that bought one of those commercials on the last Super Bowl. In fact, this is the company that was highly touted by Tom Brady. He's been their main spokesman, including his ex-wife, Gisele Bundchen, also a big spokesman for the company. Remember, Larry David was in that commercial on the Super Bowl where he was shown as being the guy that was opposed to every major invention, going all the way back to the wheel, electricity, the toilet bowl, whatever, every major innovation. Larry David said it wouldn't work. And then, of course, he said the same thing about FTX. The implication being FTX was just the latest thing that he was wrong about. Well, it turned out that that was the one thing he got right. So Sam Bankman-Fried was the king of crypto, and FTX was the jewel in his crown. And it's a complete failure. It's a complete fraud. I can't think of a better wake-up call than what just happened. If you didn't wake up as a result of Terra Luna, or if you didn't wake up as a result of Celsius, how could you sleep through this? Nobody can. This, I think, is the nail in the crypto coffin. The rest of the air is going to be coming out of this bubble. We have yet to see the real crash. That is coming. Yes, Bitcoin dropped about 25% from where it was on Friday at the high to where it was on Wednesday on the low. The real liquidation has yet to come. Wait till the government really peeks inside what was going on. There's going to be a lot more regulation now on the entire industry. This is like a Bernie Madoff moment. This is not going to be ignored. And imagine how all these transactions might have to be unwound to claw back the money to pay off creditors, because Bankman-Fried was spreading all this money around. If he embezzled it from his companies, then they've got to unwind the Robinhood transaction. They've got to unwind the Skybridge transaction. A lot of this money has to go back. In fact, what about all those campaign donations? Maybe the Democrats have to give back the money, because if he was donating money he embezzled, he had no right to donate it. And therefore, the candidates have no right to keep the donations. They have to give them back. Ponzi schemes always work great right up until the moment when people want their money back. This thing is a gigantic mess, but it is going to play out like a tragedy through the entire crypto space. It's amazing to me how many people are still oblivious to what is going on. Well, if you won't wake up as a result of this, then there's no helping you. If you can't read the writing on this wall, then you are blind. And if you go down with this ship and you lose all of your money in Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency, you've got nobody to blame but yourself.